I'm Brian Christner, and this is The Byte, a bite-sized podcast about containers, cloud, and tech.
It's a beautiful, sunshiny day here in Switzerland. Let's talk about some tech, shall we? In this episode, we're going to talk about Minio. min.io. As you know, I'm a fan of anything with IO domain names, so this goes right into the bucket. And speaking of bucket, Minio is actually an object storage for multiple use cases. It's a cloud-native S3 object storage. Much like the different cloud-native technologies we've discussed in the past, with the object storage, we can actually build our application around this object storage. It runs in a Docker container. We can run it locally. We can run it on multiple different platforms. But what's nice about it is it's an abstraction layer. So actually, I can run this on-prem. I can run it in the cloud. I can run it wherever I like. But my data interface always stays the same, which is quite nice because then I don't have to change my app if I move it around, or it's consistent across multiple platforms. One of the big use cases with Minio at the moment is SQL Select. So for big data, etc., you have Spark and Presto and Hive. These type of things, they use SQL Select to query raw data. So data in CSV or in JSON or in different formats. And they use Minio to store this data to easily make this interface, AWS S3 API, to access this data. Minio also offers encryption and worm, so write once, read many. And this is like a standard NAS configuration or storage that you purchase that's really expensive, actually. And this is something that comes with Minio out of the bat. Additionally, it offers multi-site federation, so we can have like a huge global namespace of Minios. We can also develop our own Lambda and serverless functions built on top of Minio. We talked about OpenFast in the past, and they actually built a demo where they use GitHub, Minio, Twitter, and they actually combine this all together. So you can package Minio into your application, which is quite nifty. It also supports identity and access management, and one of the cool things as well is erasure code and bit rot protection. So that basically means we can lose 50% of our servers and disks and still be able to access our data. Now, what's quite interesting is, I just ran it in the background here, and it's one Docker run command. So Docker run -d -p, and the ports, I pass in an access key and a secret key, and that's what we use to actually access the UI. And once I run this, it's up and running. It's that simple. And then I have a nice Minio browser running. In the browser, I can click down and I can add a bucket. I can do different configurations within the browser. And it's pretty basic browser, but once you upload something, and I uploaded a picture, for example, and in this picture, I can click on the ellipsis and I can share this. And it creates a shareable link, which we all know with like Google Drive and different things. And I can actually select when this expires, and I can send it out, etc. So that's pretty handy as well. I can also create different policies for the bucket, and I can search buckets, and I can do all sorts of things with the UI. The UI is fairly basic, but where the power comes in is when we start talking about the SDKs. So the SDK is, we can actually configure Java, Python, Golang, .NET to actually interface directly with Minio with our application, which is probably the best thing because then we can incorporate it directly into our application. Additionally, if we look into the docs are quite intuitive. So, getting up and running with Docker, that's what I chose. It took basically one command to get up and running. In my case, it took a little bit longer because I needed to find the access keys, and I had to define the access keys. So the example that they give is basically Docker run Minio and you're up and running, but they don't tell you how to access the UI correctly. So it takes a bit of reading, and I found that you need to pass the access keys in, or you need to start the Docker container in interactive mode to actually grab the auto-generated keys. But once you're up and running, it gives you tons of possibilities. In the docs, you can configure Minio to do backups for your databases. You can configure it to talk to proxies. you can really go crazy with all the different configurations. Additionally, on top of that, you can also monitor Minio, right? Just like we do any other application, we can monitor Minio with Prometheus. So it provides a Prometheus exporter as well. And inside the documentation, there's actually a cookbook section, and it walks you through all the different kind of neat scenarios that you can use. So, I mean, first up is like how to use the Amazon S3 command with Minio, the Amazon command line interface, the CLI with Minio, because since it's an AWS S3 supported object storage, all the S3 tools around this ecosystem also work with this. So like I said, we can put this anywhere. It works quite well. I mean, I've used it for quite a few projects, and it just works really, really well. It's stable. And the thing you can do is, okay, obviously you can have one Minio bucket running, but if you start getting more production environment, you can have like a cluster of Minios running, so multiple disks and, kind of a high available setup. So it has lots of possibilities. You could back up, VMware images to it or any type of containers. And there's like a limitation at the moment of 5 terabytes, and that gets more into the file system limitations. But it's really, really a lightweight server. I mean, you do Docker run up, and it's up instantly serving this UI and able to upload objects. I uploaded a couple graphics just for this demo, and it works quite well. It's fast. I mean, I've used the API to then query this information. I mean, it's very intuitive. So if you need an object storage that's not in the cloud or on-prem, or you want to run it somewhere else, I highly recommend Minio. And even if you have a cloud solution, you can actually package this into your application and bring it with you. So if you want to move it from on-prem to the cloud to wherever, your interface, your entire stack stays the same. So give it a try, Minio, min.io, or on their GitHub page, you can find them as well, which I'll put the links in the show notes. Thank you very much. That's all for this show, and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Byte. You can find the show notes at thebyte.io and follow me on Twitter at IDoMyOwnTricks.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.